We have some breaking developments. Idaho authorities have identified the shooter accused of ambushing and killing those two firefighters in the mountains by Coeur d'Alene on Sunday. A third firefighter who was also shot is now fighting for his life after surgery. The local sheriff says they believe that the shooter, who was later found dead, set a brush fire to lure the crew to the site and then opened fire on them. Here's dispatch audio as the attack unfolded.
Some law enforcement right now, there's an active shooter zone. They're shot. BC3's down, BC1's down. Everybody's shot up here. Law enforcement, code 3 now up here.
CNN's Mark Morales is here now with breaking details on this. Mark, what are you learning about the suspect?
Well, Brianna, we now know who law enforcement thinks did this shooting, and they've identified Wes Raleigh, 20 years old. He's from the Idaho area. And as you know, the identification in this kind of a situation is very, very important because now investigators can take that full court press and really try to figure out what the motive here was. They could do search warrants on his home or places of business, or they could even talk to loved ones, people that he knew, anything that can help them really dig into why he did this. Now, law enforcement was able to trace his cell phone signal, and that's how they were able to pinpoint exactly where he was on the mountain. But just as important was that initial 911 call. That's how first responders were able to learn not just a treasure trove of information, but that they were walking into a hornet's nest. Take a listen.
We've got two unresponsive battalion chiefs, gunshot wounds, multiple gunshot wounds. Two Coeur d'Alene firefighters are down. We need law enforcement to get up here. We could possibly get the two wounded out. I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw.
Now, Raleigh was found dead with a firearm near him, and we're still waiting for more details on this. But as we know, investigators and law enforcement are really pushing to figure out what happened here. Brianna?
Have they gotten a hold on that brush fire that they say he set, Mark?
Well, that's a really interesting part of this whole situation as well, because that fire increased to 26 acres overnight. And when you think back to how this all started with Raleigh setting this fire, first responders can't put that fire out because they're being shot at. So it was in those initial moments that this fire probably could have been contained by now, but now at this point has reached and really, as we've seen, gone up to about 26 acres. And that's also an issue because, remember, because of this shooting, it's a crime scene. So investigators were having to pick up evidence as quickly as possible because there was a fire all around them. This fire is a significant issue, and if they weren't being shot at, who knows how quickly they could have put this under control. Brianna?
Yeah, certainly. Mark Morales, thank you for the very latest on that.
Investigators in Idaho are looking for a motive after a suspect ambushed firefighters, killing two of them. A third is in the hospital in stable condition. Police say they were lured by a deliberately set brush fire that's still burning. The suspect was found dead hours later with a gun nearby.
Steve Moore is with us right now. He's a former supervisory special agent with the FBI and a CNN law enforcement contributor. Steve, this is a very unusual situation. Have you ever seen anything like this before, where someone allegedly starts a fire, firefighters come, and then this individual allegedly starts shooting at those firefighters?
Well, you know, I actually did work a case back in, 20 years ago, where there was a man who was bent on destroying an oil refinery. And his plan was to start a fire at the oil refinery and shoot firefighters as they came in. But his plan was so that the fire could go out of control. This guy's different. This guy's situation is different because what he's trying to do is simply kill the firefighters. The fire itself was a lure, not the end goal.
Tell us more about how the investigation proceeds from here, given all the circumstances at play.
Well, you know, what's interesting to me is yesterday they said between 3:15 and say 7:45, right around there, they knew that that phone was up there and they knew that it wasn't moving. So they knew they had a pretty specific target there. And during that time, 4.5 hours, they already knew the number of the phone, obviously, and they did a lot of investigation in that 4.5 hours, which helped them to determine before they even got to the body whether there was going to be accomplices, a potential motive, things like that. So they knew a lot about the person they were looking for before they even found him.
Yeah, just so disturbing.
Very disturbing.
You know, I mean, why would you go after firefighters? And it's just all of it is just unbelievably disturbing. And even if they do figure out a motive, it will never make sense. Steve Moore, thank you so much.
Exactly.